My name is Jamie Zink. I'm a student in Psychology 301, Human Issues and Dilemmas with Professor Mike Drysdale, and this is my debate argument of transgender in athletics, an argument in favor. First, I would like to read you JC's story, found in an article titled Fair Play from the Center for American Progress. JC, a transgender woman, is a power lifter and former collegiate curling and crew player. In the fall of 2018, JC stated, I signed up for the state bench press competition and the state full powerlifting competition, but was told by USA Powerlifting that due to the fact that I am a transgender woman, I am not eligible to compete. After USA Powerlifting published their anti-trans policy, we decided that we were going to protest the state championships. Cisgender lifters who had signed up to compete that were allies and friends of mine, including teammates in 2 different gyms, decided that we were going to time out their lifts in solidarity. They walked up to the platform when they were announced for their lifts, and they just stood there in silence with their hands behind their back, wearing shirts saying, "Trans lifters belong here. Share the platform." When supporters were timing out, the rest of us were cheering, chanting, "Share the platform." When someone would actually take a lift, we would stop and sit down and cheer them on as well. And in the crowd, after we had sat down, this visibly gender nonconforming kid turned to me and said, "You are all so brave. Thank you for doing this." It was this really emotional moment where you realize that younger generations are watching this happen, and they finally know there is a lot of support and love for our community, and that it is worth it to fight for our place in this sport. This article, Fair Play, tells us the fundamental principles of Olympism state that sport is a human right. To deprive someone of that human right fully and take away the social structure that is available to every person across the country is a form of cruelty, and that it is just unfathomable. It promotes isolation and dehumanization. Just think about the impact that sports has on our society. A support structure through coaches, teachers, discipline, role models, and belonging within the community. Denying someone the opportunity of having those benefits reaches far beyond just rules and policies. It completely violates a person's human rights. Why would we punish and make a group of our society go through so many challenges to take part in something that is a human right to all? It is completely unfair and morally degrading. This can lead to substantial harm to the mental health and well-being of the lives of transgender youth, whether they are athletes or not. Participating in school sports has many benefits reaching beyond physiological, social, and emotional. It is also good for one's overall health. It lowers the rates of obesity. Studies have shown it also lowers the risk of depression and anxiety, and attempts at suicide, as well as lowers the risk of the use of tobacco and illegal drugs in our teens and young adults. Being involved with sports increases self-esteem and self-confidence. It has shown to improve academic scores, and students feel more connected to their schools with a social support and sense of community connection. It can also lead to friendships with teammates and coaches alike. Athletes gain sportsmanship, camaraderie, and the drive to work hard. When you think about vulnerable populations of school-age children that include poverty, unstable family structures, or even behavioral issues, sports can help develop resilience and help protect a child's mental and emotional health. Studies have shown that participating in athletics through high school and college lead to higher earning careers with leadership positions and overall greater outcomes. Statistically speaking, transgender teens and young adults are more likely to deal with being victims of bullying, harassment, violence, and rejection as compared to that of their cisgender peers. This, along with transgender sports bans, leads to foster a hostile environment. According to Youth Risk Behavior State and Local Survey, Almost 3 in 10, which is 29.7% of transgender youth, have made at least one suicide attempt, compared to that of their cisgender youth at 7.3%. The most recent focus of the LGBTQ community and equality has been that of the participation of transgender youth in sports and the fight for equal rights of transgender athletes. Transgender athletes want to play sports for the same reason as any other athletes, but in many states, they are denied the affordability to do so and can only do so after invasive and humiliating obstacles. Transphobic laws and policies have been put into place to deny these athletes the ability to participate in activities that have many social benefits that sports can offer one's sense of well-being and education. This ignores the fact that transgender women are women and transgender men are men. These are put into place primarily using scare tactics, such as stereotypes that suggest that transgender women have physiological advantages as justification. However, there is a significant lack of evidence that participation by a transgender athlete has any effect of the success of cisgender athletes. According to the article, Transgender Athletes and Principles of Sports Categorization, Why Genealogy and Gendered Body Will Not Help. Transgender athletes have been competing for decades within many high school athletic associations, the National Collegiate Athletic Association, and even the International Olympic Committee, or IOC, as well as within several professional and amateur sports leagues as early as the year 2004. During that time frame, both men's and women's sports have continued uncontested until recently. The Centers for American Progress also conclude that more than 10% of LGBTQ youth reports being discouraged from playing sports due to their sexual orientation or gender identity. Less than 6% of transgender or non-binary students attend schools that allow them to participate in sports that match their identity. Within the schools that do allow them to participate, a mere 42% have put into place protections that allowed transgender student athletes to participate in sports with their gender identity. 1/3 of all LGBTQ youth that do not plan on graduating high school related to the discriminating policies of being discouraged or banned from playing sports at their respective schools. Among those that had experienced discrimination reported lower self-esteem and a lower sense of belonging than those who had not experienced said discriminating policies. These students also had a high rate of depression and absenteeism from school. Looking back at the article, Transgender Athletes and Principles for Sports Categorization, only recently with transgender athletes being able to participate in the subcategory of their transitioning gender, has strict sex separations been challenged. This is largely due to the discussion of their inclusion concerning their body and many possible bodily advantages. Current rulings state that international sports allows trans women to compete in female subcategories so long as they have adjusted their bodily features as required by testosterone lowering rules of the IOC. This is a physiological procedure, not just a social procedure. This was set in place between 2004 and 2015. It also states that trans athletes should adapt their bodies surgically. This suggests that subcategories are based on sex, not gender. The biggest issue on the discussion forefront is the issue of fairness amongst transgender males to females. The ebook Physiology Testosterone reads that testosterone is involved in regulating secondary male sex characteristics, which are responsible for masculinity. These secondary sex characteristics include male hair patterns, vocal changes, and voice deepening. Anabolic effects, which include growth spurts in puberty and skeletal muscle growth due to testosterone stimulating protein synthesis. Testosterone also stimulates erythropoiesis, which results in higher hematocrit in males versus females. However, according to the peer-reviewed article, Gender Affirming Medical Care of Transgender Youth, Current Problems in Pediatric and Adolescent Healthcare, the use of blocking hormones given at the start of puberty, such as the treatment with gonadotropin-releasing hormone agonist, are used to block puberty. This helps to pause puberty so that youth may explore their gender identity, and it also delays the development of irreversible secondary sex characteristics. This means that by the use of these hormones, medical professionals are able to keep the secondary sex characteristics from developing, meaning the men that people feel have the unfair advantage have never actually developed the characteristics that would provide them with the unfair advantage. In conclusion, the fear of unfairness within the athletic communities is a moot point based on science and medical advances.